We're at the press event for Golden Boy.
Not the musical.
It's about boxing, and apparently boxing has rules.
Like points?
So I guess we'll find out.
So I don't know much about boxing, and I was recently told that there is points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very confused.
Points? What do you mean?
Like there's points? I thought you just knocked someone out.
Well, if you don't knock somebody out, then they have to determine how somebody wins. So what happens is each round.
Oh.
So yeah, I play Tom Moody, the manager. Yeah. I'm manager of Joe Bonaparte. Well, initially not. I start off with Lorna, who Yvonne is playing, and Tom is in a bit of a mess. He's trying to divorce his wife so he could be with Lorna, but financial situations aren't helping him out. He's a guy. He used to be. It's like 1936 when we joined him, and he was doing pretty well in the late 20s. He was a good manager, doing well, but he's had a pretty long bad streak. And then in steps to his office out of nowhere, Joe Bonaparte, this really brash, fresh-mouthed, ambitious kid with a lot of talent, and things start to change.
I play Barker. He's a trainer of an opponent of Joe's, and Barker received some very bad news and has to deal with it. Yeah.
Intrigue.
So if tomorrow you came into rehearsal and they were like, guys, we're doing the musical, are you on board?
Totally. Absolutely. Really, really going to be beautiful and amazing show. It's so crackly here in the room. There's so much going on. You know, when you go to the theater, it's like, those things, that's like every scene there's one of those or more. It's very cool.
There's a guy named Mr. Karp, no first name, that's mentioned. I'm a neighbor, I'm a friend of the father's and the family's. I have an Encyclopedia Britannica that the kid, Joe, the boxer, has read all of. And he quotes. But as it happens, it's my encyclopedia. It's the sort of texture that the writer can put in the play where that's the connection, you know. I have a candy store and I have an encyclopedia and I don't much like my wife. Oh, it's a wonderful play. People are so lucky it's going to be back. Young people especially, I think, but everybody. I was in Awake and Sing by the same writer, by the same people producing it in the same theater 7 years ago, and it's why I'm speechless. It's why I'm glad to be back. He's a fantastic writer, and he writes about people of all ages, but it's the young people who propel the play, and he writes them great. And he's not old when he writes the play. He's in his late 20s, and he just is very, very, very wise. And the language is a knockout, no pun intended. The whole play it really is. It's the phrase I keep coming up with. It's like a smack in the face, wake you up at this play.
Would you consider tomorrow like switching to the musical?
Oh my Lord. There's a very internet question for me. I actually know absolutely nothing about the musical. The only thing I know about the musical is all the people who know about the musical who aren't me. And they come up to me and say, oh, I love Sammy Davis in that. And I hear it's great and interesting. But no, I love musicals, you know, I do musicals. But in this case, I really like the original. So the complexity of a show like this is much more in the layers of building up the acting in it, and that's probably the great fortune of my work, is that I can do something, you know, I just did L'Elysée d'Amour at the Met, which is a huge opera with 70 people, and then I can focus on something small like this, or I can do something crazy like Woman on the Verge. Some things you can do for the Ghost in the Belasco. Do you know the story of the Ghost in the Belasco?
I've heard some of them.
Well, I mean, it was apparently some girlfriend of Mr. Belasco who was called the Bishop of Broadway because he always went everywhere with a collar on. And if you go upstairs in the apartment, it's pretty creepy and strange, and you should get them to take you up sometime.
Oh my God,
And there's an elevator there, and his girlfriend apparently at the time was getting interested in producing, and next thing you know, she was thrown down the elevator shaft and she was killed. She, according to all reports, wears a blue dress. So one of the things that Kathy Zuber and I do, and that you're meant to do at the Belasco, is you always have to put somebody on stage in a blue dress. That's one way you sort of interact with the ghost there. And in the shows I've done there, and for whatever reason I've done a lot of shows at the Belasco, There's been a couple of sightings, almost always during a performance. Roger Robinson during Joe Turner is convinced he was lying on the ground and looked up and saw somebody, got annoyed because he saw somebody leaving the top balcony through the center aisle, and then he realized there was no center aisle, so he freaked out. And a person in a blue dress.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, I think she's a good spirit and a good person who has a lot of sadness, perhaps. I don't know. But we try to be supportive of all the ghosts in every theater we're in.
I play Anna Bonaparte, who is Seth's sister and Tony's daughter, who lives at home with her husband, played by Michael Aronov. She is feisty and sassy and fun and larger than life and maternal. And in such a deep, dark, heavy play, I'm hopefully going to provide moments of levity and laughter. I've worked in the Belasco before. I did a play there 7 years ago called Enchanted April, and I didn't see no ghost. I did wear the blue dress.
Ooh, so you were the person that kept the ghosts away.
Yeah, I'm not doing that this time. So
somebody else will be wearing that blue dress.
Yeah. But I told my kids that story, and they're like, oh, so excited and want to come and check the ghost out.
So in such a male-heavy show, you said your character is very maternal.
Yeah, and earthy and feminine and kind of sexy for 1936. A different way than Yvonne is, where she's beautifully dressed and coiffed and is climbing her way in life, and Anna's just kind of right where she started and is more, lower class in the best sense of the word. Plus, I'm used to the testosterone. I have 2 boys, my husband. This ain't nothing for me.
Has your older son ever seen you in a show before?
He just watched. He's 6.5. And we just let him watch The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a movie I did, which he calls The Count of Monte Crystal.
Oh my
and
God.
He loves it. And the first thing he said is, Mommy, you look so young and pretty, and your boobies were so much higher.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I was like, thanks, kid.
The character's name is Siggy. He's kind of a lovable screw-up. He's the Golden Boy's brother-in-law. I live in their house with Seth Numrich, and Tony Shalhoub, and Dagmara plays my wife. He's got this kind of lust for life and this drive towards the American dream. He drives a taxi cab. He wants to use some of his father-in-law's money to invest in a company. Father-in-law won't give it to him. So he's constantly chasing this thing to rise to the mountaintop. Always after something. Not necessarily the brightest bulb in the sky, but an interesting, fascinating, likable man. The ghost, I'm very worried. Actually, I turned down the job initially, and they kept offering me more money, and I was like, there are ghosts in the Belasco, and they're like, we give you your own dressing room. I'm like, no, that's not going to cut it. They were like, do you want to play Golden Boy? I was like, it doesn't matter. So I said no. I watched some ghost specials on the Sci-Fi Channel, and after a while, I came to terms with it, and I'm at peace with it. So I asked for the Golden Boy role, and they were like, you're a little too old. So I just settled for Siggy.
Eddie Fuseli is the character's name. He's a mobster, gangster, loan shark, who also takes side bets as well. That's his survival. When at first they said Golden Boy, I thought they were talking about the '63, Sammy Davis Jr. Musical. And then quickly thereafter, Dan Swee and Cammie Hickman said, no, it's the Odette's play, which I was thrilled about. Of course, you would consider anything, but I'm happy to be doing this piece of theater, wonderful piece of theater. And I went and visited the theater the other day. There is definitely a presence in the theater. You can sort of feel it when you walk in the building. I think it's a friendly presence, frankly.
I don't know if I can follow Sammy Davis. He's another amazing legacy.
You can tweak it.
We'll see.
I mean, they tweaked it reverse for him, so they can
yeah. I don't know. I think I'll probably stick with the straight play version this time around. I've seen so many amazing plays at the Belasco. I feel like if there are ghosts there, they've got to be the good kind, so we're hoping they're on our side. We've been now to 2 different fights. On Saturday, we went to the Barclay Center in Brooklyn and saw a huge boxing show there. There were like 12 different fights. Wow. 4 titles were on the line, so we saw 4 title fights that night. It was amazing. There were probably 12,000 people in the stands there. It's really incredible. And then last night we got to go to another boxing match at the Roseland Ballroom on 52nd Street, which was a totally different, club fight. There were about 1,000 people there in the audience, but a smaller venue, smaller fights, but both of those events were incredibly informative and a lot of fun. I mean, I really am a boxing fan now, so I plan to go back and watch more.
Joe Bonaparte's boxing trainer, and he's sort of a cross between, I would say, Rocky Balboa and Yoda. Yeah, he's a real, salt of the earth kind of guy, but also very wise and smart, and takes Joe under his wing and teaches him about boxing, teaches him to be a better boxer, and reminds him that there are more important things in life than boxing. It's a beautiful character, I think.
So if you came to rehearsal tomorrow and they were like, guys, we're doing the musical, are you on board?
No.
No. No.
I don't know. I've never seen the musical. I don't know.
Well, we haven't either.
I thought you were going to say The Music Man. I was like,
oh, would you do The Music
sure,
Man?
Let's do The Music Man.
Yeah.
No, but
I'm on board for both of these things.
I would be truly disappointed because this play is so beautiful. I love it so much. So.
Well, maybe you guys can all get back together and do the musical next season.
Yeah, wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah, awesome.
Lovely, yeah. I believe the lead is African American, and there's a whole African. So half the cast may not.
A little bit for Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, exactly.
Tweak it back.
Yes, this is actually my third show in the Belasco. I was there in 1991 into 92. I did a play there called A Little Hotel on the Side with Lynn Redgrave and Tony Randall. And this guy named Rob Lowe making his Broadway debut.
No way.
A long time ago.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. I'm old, bloggers. Very old. And there was a lot of talk about the ghost back then, and it is kind of a haunted theater. Belasco has still, they haven't really touched the apartment upstairs. He used to live upstairs, and that's kind of really cool. Have you ever been?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been to the theater, but I've never been in the
upstairs?
apartment.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a dream of mine.
Well, they used to call him the Bishop of Broadway, and he used to dress up in clerical garb with a collar.
Collar.
Exactly right. And the weirdest thing about, God, David Belasco is so weird. But he actually had a confessional.
What?
There? Yeah, he used to take women up there.
Uh-oh.
And yes, I guess make them confess their sins.
So it's like the casting confessional instead of the casting couch.
Exactly right.
Yikes.
Steal that if you don't
Do
mind.
it.
Okay. One day I was around by myself. This is absolutely true. I've never told anybody this. But I was around by myself on the stage during Women on the Verge, and there was a blue light dancing around.
Amazing.
Out in the audience while I was there, just running a scene by myself. And I did see it, and I thought, what the hell? And then it happened again, and I thought, what is my watch reflecting something? And it wasn't anything, and there was nobody else around. And it was blue. I only realized, I only put two and two together afterwards, that, because people mentioned the blue lady. But I only realized it afterwards. That's right, it was blue. So.
This is your in for celebrity ghost stories.
Yeah, exactly. So I can, maybe have a seance while we're there and call back David Belasco and tell him how he, I want him to ask him how he did it.
So many questions.
I don't know what that means.
So many questions for him.
So many.
But how do you get a theater named after yourself?
And keep it named after yourself.
Exactly, after all these years.
Every other theater seems to have swapped names many times.
It's true. You think by now it would be the, Paris Hilton Theater or something.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
God, no?
And every time I've been told, boy, you're good as gold, say I'm just tickled pink.
This was my favorite interview ever, maybe of all time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.